now available on e-readers everywhere. From the author of the Simp trilogy, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, They Look Like Men But They Act Like Ladies, and The Misadventures of Captain Sailor comes Stop Simping in the Workplace. Learn what mistakes not to make with women and protect your job with Stop Simping in the Workplace. Available on e-readers everywhere. Last week, I presented a video called Why Simps Can't Close the Deal. And when I presented that 5-minute classic, the responses I got, some of them were quite troubling. Now, in a previous video before this, I said a hit simp will holler. And it seems like there are quite a few closet simps watching this channel. And when I did the videos talking about simps and their simp behaviors, it seems like these people get the most butthurt. Now, some of these individuals, when they get butthurt, they get emotional and they start going into ad hominem attacks. All because I am trying to help them. Because this video called Why Simps Can't Close the Deal, that was meant to teach these individuals the mistakes they were making and what it was preventing them from moving themselves ahead with women and their careers. Because I have seen so many of these simps and how they trip over their own feet, because these are the kind of guys who, again, as I said before in a previous video, spend 90% of their time talking and 10% of their time listening. And because they spend so much of their time talking instead of listening, they can't see the opportunities in front of them. And because these individuals can't see the opportunities in front of them, they wind up either missing out or costing themselves because they just can't close the deal. And a lot of these guys will sit here and think closing the deal is some sort of complicated thing, because this is the mind of a simp. The simp thinks that everything has to fit his fantasy or his idea of what things are supposed to be imagined, instead of seeing how things are just naturally progressing. Now, the smart guy is going to sit there and he's going to let things flow naturally. He's going to relax and he's just going to let nature take its course. That's not what a simp does in any case. When it comes down to your simp, he can't let things flow naturally because he's insecure. He has no faith in anybody else. He has no confidence in anybody else. And he doesn't believe in anybody else to just let things flow. Because when you let things flow, things just happen. But this is what your simp just can't do. Instead, when your simp sees a situation about to happen, he starts to get anxious, he starts to get nervous, and instead of him just letting things go the way they're going to go, he's got to come in here and try to fix things. And because he tries to fix things, he winds up breaking things and costing himself things. For example, you could have a simp involved with a very attractive woman. The woman is really eager and thinking about having sex with this man and is just about to have sex with this man. And what your simp is going to do, instead of letting that natural sexual energy flow and letting things just happen, what your simp is going to do is he's going to try to fix things by trying to do something to force things to go faster, or he's going to say something stupid, and after he does this thing or says this stupid thing, what that woman is going to do, instead of go and get ready to have sex with this man, is what she's going to do is grab her purse and then tell this guy she's going to call him. Why? Because your simp pretty much does not let things flow. Your simp is an idiot who pretty much thinks he can make things happen. He can force things to go a certain way instead of just letting them happen. And this is the big problem with your simp. He's always in here fixing, caretaking, trying to make things fit into his fantasy world instead of dealing with the reality that is in front of him and the opportunities that are in front of him. Because part of closing the deal in many cases is not that you have to do anything at all. Oftentimes, these things are just going to happen, and all you have to do is let them happen. And in some cases, yes, they're making an offer to you, and all you have to do is just take the offer. All you have to do, in some cases, is just say yes and then shut up. But because your simp just doesn't know how to shut up because he's insecure, what he's going to do is he's going to keep asking dumb questions. He's going to keep pestering people. And then those people are going to look at him and see that, he's anxious, he's keyed up, and they're going to either walk away from this guy because he's anxious and keyed up, or in the case of a predatory female, what they're going to do is gain leverage over this individual and start creating a plan to take advantage of him. Because when your simp is out here being eager, what he's doing is sending a signal to that female or that individual that he's pretty much a weak guy and that he is someone that they can easily take advantage of, and that what they have has higher value than who he is. And because he has placed a higher value on whatever they have over himself, that person then uses that as leverage to pretty much turn this simp into a trick. And when they turn him from a simp into a trick, all they're doing is stringing him along, getting him to pay for the possibility of whatever they want to offer him, and then have him chasing them instead of just getting what he could have got for nothing. Because this is the problem with your simp. He just, again, is emotional, he lacks patience, he lacks self control, and he lacks discipline. And because he lacks these internal character traits, he can't close the deal. Because, again, in order to close the deal, you have to really come at people and approach people with a sense of nonchalance, where whether you get it, you don't care, or whether you don't get it, you don't care. And when you come at the situation that way, you're going to have a higher chance of closing the deal than a guy who's going to come here all keyed up and anticipating and hoping and wishing and praying he's going to get something out of it. Instead, the guy who's pretty much relaxed and is pretty much chilled out, he's going to be able to take advantage of the situation and get what the situation, the opportunity, capitalize on the opportunity. Oh, in one of my novels, Spinsterella, I pretty much show you in the first 50 pages what happens when a guy lets things flow naturally. Because when you let things flow naturally, this is what's going to happen. The deal is going to be sealed. And in Spinsterella, I showed this in the first 50 pages when Matilda and the Shawn character, when they when they go to the Christmas party, and then after they go to the hotel room, pretty much showing you how this deal is sealed. Because this is something, they don't put in many of these romances out here. They don't show you how the deal is closed. But I show you in Spinsterella how deals get closed. And closing the deal is just letting stuff happen, letting things flow naturally, letting the natural energy flow, and, being able to see those opportunities and just take them. They're very simple and they're right in front of you. But because your simp, again, lives in a fantasy world, lives in a box, he can't take advantage of those opportunities in front of him and just let things go by just saying yes and then letting things just go on its way. He's got to come in and ask a bunch of questions. He's got to come in and have a conversation. He's got to come in and do other dumb things like trying to negotiate a better deal when the deal is right in front of him. Because this is another thing that is wrong with your simp. Your simp is the kind of guy, he's going to come in, he'll have the deal sealed, and what your simp is going to try to do is instead of closing the deal that's in front of him, he's going to try to create another deal. And he wants to create the deal that fits into his fantasy world instead of seeing the real deal that's in front of him. And because he tries to fix that situation to go into his fantasy world, he winds up losing the deal that was in front of him and winds up with nothing at the end of the day. Because that's the way your simp is. He's, again, lives in a fantasy world. He wants everything to fit in that fantasy world, and he wants everything to pretty much go one way instead of seeing the opportunities presented to him in reality, seeing the things presented to him in reality. Because oftentimes there are offers made to him every day, but because he is so caught up in what he wants, he winds up missing what God has for him or what is out here waiting for him. And because he's so busy looking for what he wants, he never gets what could have been offered to him, and provided to him. Now, a lot of people also want to talk about, how many deals I have closed. And I can talk about, many deals I have closed in business, to doing different things with books, like paying for getting these book covers for my ISIS series, or doing other deals. And again, that all requires being patient, having the discipline, and having faith and letting things just flow the way they're supposed to flow. When you let things flow the way they're supposed to flow, you can see the opportunities in front of you, you can capitalize on those opportunities, and you can move yourself ahead. This is something your simp just doesn't understand, because your simp pretty much, again, he's so busy trying to force things to make them fit into a fantasy world that he can't see the real opportunities in front of him and the real ways he can have the best quality of life overall. That's all I have to say for this video. If you want to learn more about Simps, you can pick up my Simp Trilogy ebooks on Amazon.com. These books have break down the comprehensive dysfunctional behaviors of the simp and the solutions for breaking free of this dysfunctional paradigm of behavior. Coming to paperback and e-readers this February, Isis, Samurai Goddess. The goddess next door takes on kung fu killers in this action-packed martial arts ISIS series adventure. Get Isis, Samurai Goddess in paperback and e-readers this February.